We're here at Festa Coffee and we're going to show you how to make a crepe cake, and we're going to first prepare the batter for the crepe cake. And we've already cut the butter up. We need a stick of butter that we are going to melt, and we're going to put it over here on our burner while we let that melt, and we're going to put 4 eggs in, and this is the batter that we use in our crepes in general. So we're going to put the eggs in. We're going to be doing a matcha crepe. We put a couple of tablespoons of sugar in, and we have a measuring cup already. So the American palate is, I'm going to add a little more to it. The American palate is acclimated to the sugar and the salt and all the good stuff. We want to follow through on allowing that taste to be there. I'm just preparing the grill right now. You saw I put some olive oil on it, and we just kind of make sure that the grill is nice and has some oil on it before we start putting the crepes together. So the butter is melting pretty good. One of the things that we don't want to do is we don't want to put the butter into the eggs too hot. And so what we'll do is we'll put a little bit of milk, and then what I'm going to do is pour that in to the container here, and I'm going to come back and put another cup of milk, but I'm going to blend this up. Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to put the other cup of milk in the batter. We do 2 cups of flour, so that's about half of this measuring cup here. So we're going to put that in, and we're going to blend that up again, and we will have the perfect batter for the crepe cake. So we are putting 2 tablespoons of vanilla in the batter, which I forgot, and Phil is going to go back out and blend it back up. Here we're making a crepe cake, and Phil is putting the individual crepes together, and then we're going to go through the crepes, and then we'll end up trimming them down so that they are all the same size. Once we go through and trim them down to the same size, then we'll put them together and make the crepe cake. We use 20 crepes to do our crepe cakes, and Phil is very experienced at making crepes. We let them cool. We put them out on this rack and let it cool for a while, and then we put them together, because if we put them together while they're too hot, then they'll stick. And so these are perfect size that we can cut. We can stack them and trim them into an even bunch, so the crepe cake looks nice and organized when we put it together, and people love that green when they see it. I'm going to go over and try to exercise my ability to take on the chef's job here. And so Phil is going to be cutting them up, and he's going to be getting them prepared for the cake. So he'll show you how he has a measuring tool there that he does the measurements of it, and then he just trims them. And so you'll see later on how we put them together. So we're getting that crepe just right, and Phil is over getting them prepared, and I'm working on this one, these 2, so that we can get enough of them out there. And I'll do the other ones a little smaller, because those are a little big. And Phil talked about earlier making sure that you don't do them too big, so you don't waste the batter. So here I go. I'm doing them a little smaller this time. So these are the last batch of crepes that we're doing. We have 20 already cut, And so now all we need to do is we need to make the cream, and then we are going to be off on setting the crepe cakes up. Phil, you've done an excellent job, man.
Thanks, sir.
This is pure matcha here. We're going to add some sugar to it. You can smell it even from here. Strong matcha. But we have to put quite a bit of sugar in to give it that nice, even taste that people like. Straight matcha like this, you need to be able to make sure it's sweet enough, because it is pretty powerful, but it's a nice taste for people that really like matcha. So we can try that in the batter. And this is heavy whipping cream that we put in and mixing it with the matcha. And this will be the filling for the matcha cake that we're doing. You started it out slowly and then you increased it.
That's correct.
So when you speed it up, you mentioned about getting air in it. What was the air that you talked about, getting the air into the mix to fluff it up?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening here.
Okay.
You're just adding air into the whipping cream to turn it into whipped cream.
Yeah, okay. So what happens is these layers, as you saw, we trimmed them up to be the same size, and as we put the whipped cream on it, the whipped cream is going to dissolve in the crepes and give the crepes a nice soft texture, and that's going to keep the crepe nice and soft for several days. And so this cake will go extremely quick when we put it out in the counter for people to purchase. And look at the way Phil is doing that cake. He's a skilled craftsman, and Phil has done many of these cakes and made some beautiful designs on them. And the icing is the same icing that you use for the outside of the cake as the inside, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I've always loved whipped cream on cakes as opposed to the sugary butter cream. To me, it's a little easier to digest, because the sugar sometimes is so overwhelming, and the whipped cream gives it a real soft and even texture. So Phil is done with the layers, and now he's setting up the exterior, looking good. And so what we'll do afterwards, do you have to let it set for a while, Phil, before you cut it, or do you?
Yeah, I would say about a half an hour in the fridge.
So we'll let it sit about half an hour in the refrigerator, let that whipped cream cool down, and then we will cut the crepe cake and put a couple of slices out in our display counter. A lot of people have never heard of the crepe cake, but since we started doing crepes here at Festa Coffee, I wanted to try doing a crepe cake, and so we've gotten into doing several different crepe cakes, and so it's become a real treat for a lot of people. They love the crepe cakes that we make. There we have the crepe cake, and here you go, Phil. Hold it and show it. Phil is the chef that makes the crepe cakes.
And we're going to put it in the refrigerator for about half an hour and cut it up.
And so here we go. Phil is cutting the cake, and we're going to cut it up, and we have that nice beautiful green. He's doing an even cut in it, and so we're going to put some slices in the containers for the cake. Man, that looks really good, and the interior of it is going to be beautiful because it's nice and green, and we have that matcha on the outside, and I tasted some of that matcha, and you can feel that matcha when you taste it. It has the caffeine in it, and I said we have to warn parents not to let their kids eat this unless you You want them to have some caffeine because this is nice caffeinated cake. It has matcha inside and out. And the icing is filled with beautiful matcha, and so let's look at the inside. It's green. The outside exterior is nice and green. So this is going to be a delicious cake for somebody to eat. Here we go. We have our cakes displayed in the counter. We have the matcha, mocha, ube, and vanilla cream. The vanilla cream has strawberries on top, and another ube and a matcha. Beautiful. Looks really good.